Hello, my name is Brittany Davault. This is case study 1 for SPCE 638, section 806 with Dr. Diana Wilson. First off, we will be going over the relevant data for the person we will refer to as patient 1, their educational, medical, and historical background. Patient 1 is a 3-year-old female. In non-behavior analytic terms, she is soft-spoken, shy, and mild-mannered. She resides in a nuclear family in a nearby town with no reported history of trauma or abuse. Parents reported a normal pregnancy. She previously received physical therapy through First Steps, but has since graduated out. Before the age of 2, she exhibited the following behaviors: deficits in social initiation/responding, limited interest in peers, and RRBs in the form of headbanging, picking at her skin, and hand-finger stereotypy. Per the doctor report, she is believed to be a moderate functioning level 1. The assessment that was used to determine target behaviors was ABC data, and this was also used to deduce their functions. This assessment method was used because it aligns with the available resources within my company, as well as matches the skill level of the therapist involved in taking care of patient 1. Here are some examples of the ABC data that was collected. For patient 1, for example, first one in her therapy room, the therapist told the client that iPad time was up, the behavior being the patient screamed, hit therapist 2 times, crying for 5 minutes, consequence being therapist ignored client until calm. Another one we have in the kitchen, the client is told to wait with therapist in the kitchen, patient eloped to table, therapist returned patient to kitchen and prompted a man to go. And last, we have in the gross motor room, one of the last ones in the gross motor room, the first then statement for discrete trial training before iPad. Patient exhibited screaming, crying, kicking, stomping feet. Therapist ignored, and forgive me, my camera is in the way. But the therapist ignored, restated the SD, and then followed through. So our 4 common functions of behavior are going to be escape, attention, tangibles, and sensory. Escape being from demands or unwanted situations. Attention to get from attention from peers or adults. Tangibles being food or preferred activities, preferred items. And then lastly, we have sensory. That'll be sensory self-stimulation. So the behaviors and functions pertaining to patient 1, these are the operational definitions that my supervisor and I came up with for the target behaviors for her. First, we have verbal refusal. This was deduced to be its function was deduced to be access to preferred activities and escape from unwanted demands. What we are referring to as fit, others would refer to as tantrum. But for fit for patient 1, it would be escape from unwanted demands and denied access to preferred items and activities. Next, we have elopement, deduced to be function deduced to be escape from unwanted demands, physical aggression, escape from unwanted demands and access to preferred items or activities, and then property destruction, escape from unwanted demands. The relevance to the BACB task list items. C1. For this client, I've been working with my supervisor to create operational definitions of behavior for identified maladaptive behaviors identified through ABC data collection. C4. My supervisor and I worked together to identify that both frequency and duration were appropriate measurements for her fit, as these episodes can be above 15 minutes in length. Not only are we concerned with decreasing the frequency, but we are also interested in decreasing the length of each episode, so duration tracking would be appropriate. E8, my supervisor and I agreed that I would be tasked with training therapists on interventions listed in the new BIP and how to most effectively and professionally do so. F1, my supervisor introduced me 2 authorization forms that are sent to insurance to vie for services, and how to interpret the results. This client is 2 years old, so the sources of relevant information are minimal. So this was a good way to introduce me to what some of the relevant sources of information could be, since it wasn't so overwhelming. F9, my supervisor tasked me with looking over ABC data to determine each instance's function based on antecedents and consequences. F6, within this PowerPoint, functions are not only listed and explained, but as they pertain to this patient specifically. F3, I observed and discussed with my supervisor specific areas of need for self-management skills for this patient. And finally, F2, based on doctor recommendations, full-time ABA was recommended. Thank you very much and have a nice day.